Hi everybody, my name is Stacy Sedlacek and I research the effects of multiple intelligence strategies on first grade students' phonics achievement. And I'm a first grade teacher for the Iowa City Schools. I did my undergrad at Mount Mercy University. I got a bachelor's in elementary ed with an early childhood special education endorsement. And then I went on to Morningside College where I got my reading endorsement. And now I'm finishing up my Master's of Art degree with a Strat 1 special ed focus. And I wanted to focus on how to help struggling readers because as a first grade teacher, this is a very prominent problem and something that's very near and dear to my heart. Reading and writing are undoubtedly lifelong skills that need to be developed at an early age. We know that early intervention is key and you need to help these struggling readers the sooner the better. In my school, nearly 500 educational minutes a week are devoted to reading and writing, but it's not enough, and we do still have struggling readers, so I wanted to find ways to do more to help them, especially since Iowa laws are getting stricter and changes are coming towards the reading. So, we have the early literacy implementation plan, the ELI, and that is where there's a universal kindergarten through third grade screener for FAST, the formative assessment system for teachers, and so all K through third students take that test, and if students fall out on it and they're discrepant from their peers, they are state required to be in a daily intervention. They must have an intervention that's focused on their specific reading needs, and then in addition, they must be progress monitored weekly to focus on their deficits, to help improve their reading scores and get them back on track. And so also those students and parents and teachers have to sign a contract, a state contract, talking about their plan of action and how they're going to focus on closing that gap and helping students become successful readers. And the contract even mentions summer school and possible third grade retention. So there's some heavy, scary topics for families in that letter. In my building in 2015, when I began my research, our kindergarten through third grade average was 72% proficiency on the fall formative assessment system for teachers, the FAST, and our building goal was 90% proficiency. So you can see the discrepancy there. And as a first grade teacher, I was interested in breaking down our scores a bit further. Our proficiency was 68%, so we were even lower than the K through 3 proficiency and significantly lower than our building goal. So this was very alarming to me, and that's when I knew this is absolutely what I wanted to research. I wanted to find ways to help struggling readers and bring those scores up and help close the gap. So my research found that instruction combined with movement is great for helping kids, help them read and help them close the gap. Common Core focuses on the need for reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language and instruction. And we know that we align, of course, all of us as educators, we're aligning our lesson plans with that, our instruction and our assessment. We know that those are the core standards. And so I'm trying to think of ways to bring about this movement and hands-on learning with these core standards. And so that brought me to the multiple intelligences. Howard Gardner found these 8 multiple intelligences, which are visual spatial, interpersonal, intrapersonal, musical, linguistic, naturalistic, logical, mathematical, bodily kinesthetic. And so those 8 intelligences are different ways that our brain works. And so each brain is wired differently, and so we have different learning preferences and different learning styles, and we all just think and work a little bit differently. And he just found that when you give somebody something that is in their preferred learning style, the content becomes easier and more accessible for them, and it makes more sense. And so when used, this helps students provide a balance between the rules and the sense-making piece. You're helping them find their why. You're helping students to grasp the content and to fully understand it. So we know that worksheets are not going to help students get that content. They need to get in there and get their hands on it and make sense of it. And so through whichever one of these intelligences is best for their body and their brain, They just need some form of sense making that works for them. And Gardner really stresses you do not need to create 8 different lessons to try them all. You can do multiple intelligences within a lesson. And so that got me thinking. There's all this great research about phonics and about multiple intelligences, but nothing about the two combined. And there appeared to be a gap in the research about using multiple intelligences and phonics instruction together to enhance reading instruction. So that got me thinking, and that's how I picked my topic. And my question was, will students' reading scores improve as measured with FAST as a result of receiving reading instruction enhanced with multiple intelligence strategies? And the purpose of the study was to explore the correlation between incorporating those strategies in reading instruction and then seeing what happens to their scores. And I knew this would help the field because we're always looking for ways to improve students' reading scores. As I already mentioned, we're discrepant in the first grade, we're discrepant K through 3. The state of Iowa is concerned about it with the implementation of the ELI. So reading is one of those things that it's just going to always be there. It's never going away, and we're always going to be looking for creative ways to make reading more accessible to all learners. Learning's not one size fits all, so we must be creative and differentiate our instruction. My methodology, my research design was A-B experimental design. So the A being my baseline data, I used students' fall FAST scores, and all 23 of my first graders took the FAST, and 4 students fell out on the FAST, and so they became my research group. And then from there, I implemented the intervention, and I did that over a 12-week period. And then I did my post-intervention collection with the spring FAST scores to compare. And that was my B of the A-B experimental design. So A was the baseline and B was the spring scores. So I was comparing what happened with that phase change. After I did the intervention in the middle, did the scores improve? Was there a statistical significantly important change there after the intervention occurred? And I used a dependent t-test to examine and compare the scores. The participants in my group, there were 4 first grade students. They were the friends who fell out on the FAST. They were the ones who were at risk, and 3 of them were females, 1 was male. Out of those, 2 students were low socioeconomic status. 1 was an English language learner student, and I am a public school general education teacher. My materials, I used traditional West Virginia Phonics intervention kit, so maybe some of you have taught with that before as well. I really like those intervention materials. They make it a variety of different lesson types for the students, but also it's really easy to supplement in your own ideas here like I did. So each day I added in multisensory strategies as well. And West Virginia Phonics is research-based and it's district approved. I listed out some of the materials that my lessons included for the traditional West Virginia Phonics. So word list, reading list, highlighters, whiteboards, student copies, so they could mark up their stories. In the procedure, I did a 12-week period. So I collected the baseline data with the fall FAST scores, and then over the winter, I did 12 weeks of the intervention. And in the 12 weeks, I did 8-day cycles. So every 8 days, the cycle would repeat itself over and over and over. I think we made it through about 7 times in the 12-week period. So of the 8-day cycle, each day I would implement I would implement 1 multiple intelligence strategy per day. And I'll go through the rotations with you here in a second. And then at the end, I compared the FAST growth from the fall to the spring with the dependent t-test. And I did follow state-approved FAST scores to assess the reading performance, and this ensured the reliability and validity. So here's my rotations. On day 1, I did spatial intelligences. So students would read the West Virginia Phonics passage, and then they would picture that passage in their mind, and then they got to draw it. So they liked this one. They enjoyed the drawing. Most of the students enjoyed that one. Day 2, kinesthetic intelligences. So we were doing phonological awareness. They were listening for a short vowel sound. If they heard the sound, they would stand up. If they didn't hear the sound, they should sit down. It was a listening. Day 3 was logical intelligences, so it was comprehension skill with the passage, focused on forming hypotheses. Day 4 was also really popular with several students in the group, musical intelligences. So we did Jolly Phonics, and there are short vowel songs to sing along, and they have actions to go with it, and I've linked that here with my reference page if anyone's interested in looking those up. Day 5 is intrapersonal intelligences, so adding emotion to our short vowel passage reading and then trying to make connections to the story at the end of reading it. Day 6, interpersonal intelligence, so we would find the main character in the passage and then evaluate the social context of the writing. Day 7 was linguistic skills, so we could play a rhyming game. It was pretty popular with a couple friends, and then focus on the short vowel sound within that rhyming game. And day 8, naturalist intelligences, so we would insert nature words that had the focused short vowel sound of the week into our word list. And my methodology. So for data analysis, I progress monitored students weekly on curriculum-based measures from FAST. So that was how many words they could read per minute from a story. And then I did a dependent t-test to look for a statistically significant difference between their fall to spring FAST scores. And then I compared the means and the standard deviation to see the growth between the assessment windows. And so I have those results here. This in table 1 shows the FAST assessment results between the fall and the spring for the 4 students. And this is just showing you the mean scores and the standard deviations. And I hypothesize that students who received the reading intervention enhanced with multiple intelligence strategies would see a statistically significant improvement on their fall to spring FAST scores. And my hypothesis was supported. You can see looking here at the means that was a good jump from the fall to the spring, that they did show a good jump here, and that's reflected as we look on table 2 here from fall to spring and look at the p-value. My hypothesis was supported based on the results of the dependent t-test with 99% validity, which is seen in table 2. And with such a low p-value of 0.015, this shows that there is a statistical significance in the change in students' FAST scores from fall to spring. So there was, in fact, a statistical difference between the two periods, and the reading scores did improve as a result of this intervention. So it was a success. It worked. So what did I learn? Research is challenging. This was a challenging project, but it was purposeful. Evidence exists. Combining quality phonics instruction with multiple intelligences does improve reading performance. And this aligns with the past research on multiple intelligences. So there's a lot of benefits to hands-on learning and differentiating your instruction to meet a variety of needs. Help shape educational practices for me and for other educators. We should be differentiating. It's not one size fits all. And we need to do more variety for students. Implications. It confirmed my hypothesis. Apply the multiple intelligence strategies. I want to do it now in large group and small group, not just with 4 kids. I want to do it in more content areas. It doesn't need to just be reading. I could do it in math. I could do it in science. I think that variety is the key here in all instruction areas. Limitations. There was a lack of prior research going into this. Not much on the 2 combined. I had a small sample size, only 4 students. It wasn't that consistent with the implementation due to holiday breaks. Unknown which of the strategies had the greatest impact, and I needed a longer research period. So next time, more research to get more reliable findings. I'd like to do it with my whole class instead of just 4 kids, so all 23 students. Intervention conducted with more consistency, so try and do it over every day and more over longer time. more assessment checks so I can know which specific strategies and skills are leading to most reading improvement. So which linguistic or which MI strategy is helping the most in a longer time period. And here's my references. You can email me.